Good evening, my colleagues in profession. We are happy and honored to host you in this ninth session of Direct Tax Study course conceptualized by our beloved and workaholic chairman of WRC, Ketan Sayya sir. And he assigned this responsibility to me, CA Sanjay Nikam Regional Council member, as a Direct Tax Committee chairman. In this endeavor, there was one person silently working behind the curtain was a Shardul Shah sir. He was also always available for the WIRC whenever we needed. Friends, today we have with us Bharvi Avlani also as a coordinator. Now we'll start our this session uh, with respecting our with giving respect to our alma mater. I'll request the technical staff to run our ICAI motto song.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्द्वैता 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 एतद्द्वैता.
Thank you. Friends, we are delighted to announce that we are starting this session, ninth session of the 10 session series of direct tax study course. We decided in past that when we had that successful DTRC, we decided that we should reach out to the members through via online platform also. And Kitan sir guided us in that endeavor, and we came out with the 10 different topics. And we invited a renowned faculties to justify those topics. And now we reached to the ninth session of this series. Today we have with us Shardul Shah, who is going to deliberate his expertise on provisions for rectification under section 154, 263, grievances, and CP gram. One of the very important aspect of this profession, where we need whenever we stuck into any issue or technical uh, glitches, there are some options available, and Shardul sir is going to deliberate on this. Also, we have with us Sharon Singhvi ma'am. She will be attending us as a coordinator. Also, Bharvi is also there. Now I'll go to our WRC chairman and I'll request him to brief about the WRC activities with our members. Over to you, Ketan sir, chairman of
Thank you.
WRC.
Thank you, Sanjay bhai. Thank you so much. Respected learned speaker of the day, Shardul bhai, both our coordinator, Bhavni, as well as Sharon, and Direct Tax Committee Chairman, CA Sanjay Nikam, the Regional Council member. It's indeed a pleasure to talk to all of you. I think today's topic out of this series is equally important since we have a lot of rectification pending for years, and we always keep approaching the department and find out some or other via media. And there are various methodologies, including CP gram, which has been in recent past has become more effective, and we are receiving a lot of fast response. However, we need to refresh ourselves on 154 and all other rectification provision. And Shardul bhai was very, very kind to give a consent to give his talk on the rectification entire process in income tax. So Shardul bhai, we place on record sincere thanks to you on behalf of Western India Regional Council for giving your valuable time. Coming about the other activities of WIRC, I'll make mention of one activity only as of now because we are already 5 minutes late behind the schedule. So that is our regional conference happening at Geo World Convention Center on 19th and 20th of December. And as of today, the entire registration is at the discounted rate at the rate of only 4,500. So requesting members to take advantage of that, and we have series of speakers coming up in the uh, regional conference. With this, once again welcoming all of you to this DTSC 9th session, and over to you, Sanjay bhai.
Hello. Uh,
Yeah, Bani, you can take it forward.
yes. Thank you. And yes, the early bird offer is on. So thank you,
Yeah.
Ketan Bhai and Sanjay Bhai,
Pardon.
for all the privilege to get me here on board as well with y'all. And more about Shardul Bhai. So Shardul Bhai has been the chairman of the Finance and Tender Committee of the Mumbai Cricket Association. Then he's also been the executive member committee at the Bombay Management Association. He has served thrice as the regional council member with WIRC for 3 terms. 2007 to 2010, 2010 to 2013, and 13 to 16. He has been also the ex-financial controller of the Cuff Parade Residents Association. We have always seen Shardul Bhai regularly participating in career counseling events, which are organized by the ICAI, Rotary clubs, schools, etc. So, thank you, Shardul Bhai. He's also represented various papers, which could be one of them was the international conference in Dubai, and also in India, which was on the recent developments in international taxation. He also did a paper at the national conference, which was titled as reforms in banking sector. And as we all know, he's been regularly contributing to the BCAS and the WIRC of the ICAI's reference manual. So thank you, Shardul Bhai, for giving us your time. And we look forward to this seminar, that is this virtual class, which has been going on for the last 8 sessions. Over to you, Shardul Bhai.
Yes, Shardul bhai, all yours. You can start.
Yes.
Respected chairman of WRC of ICI and my very dear friend Shri Ketan Bhai Sayya, respected chairman of the direct tax committee and also very good friend of mine Shri Sanjay Nikamji, respected coordinators Bhairavi as well as Sharonji, and all my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. At the outset, let me first congratulate the chairman and the team WIRC, along with the chairman of Direct Tax Committee also, for doing amazing work. I have seen so many years of Ketan Bhai and Sanjay Bhai also working tirelessly, but this year has been special. I have been seeing that even on weekends, Sundays to Sundays also, the chairman is completely committed, and this shows how our fraternity is headed. And there is absolutely no doubt that WRC is definitely the best region. And I can see even before the 12th of February or whenever the awards are going to be announced, that for 24, 25, oh sorry, 25, 26 also, WRC is going to get the best regional council award and also the best Vikasa award. So, this program is one example of the beautiful programs which WRC has been organizing time and again. And even the Direct Tax Committee, I think, Sanjay Bhai, you're doing an amazing job. This entire series which you have planned is, an example of the kind of programs which you have been doing. And I, from my side, completely commit to the chairman WRC and also commit to you, Sanjay Bhai, whatever you require, anything 24/7, I'm available for the CA Institute and also for the betterment of the fraternity. I think the least we can do is to give back to our mother institute, because they have given us so much, and the least we can do at all is to give back whatever learnings we have to our fellow brothers and sisters. And I think that is one opportunity you have given me today, and whatever learnings I have had over a period of time, I will be happy to share and discuss the same. and maybe on over an hour or 2 hours, whatever time is given to me, I will try to do justice to the program. And rest assured, Ketan bhai, that we are always with you. Rest assured that WRC is and will always be committed to the best.
Thank you.
Getting the best faculties, getting the best programs. And I think this is what we stand for. We always stand for being a partner in nation building. And a person like yourself, and also a person like Sanjay bhai, who is completely committed to WRC. And I think sky's the limit. Only, the benchmark, you are increasing the benchmark so much. I really don't understand how your successors are going to live up to it. But all the best to you, Ketan bhai, all the best to you, Sanjay bhai. We are always there with you. And I'm sure you will continue to do good work for the fraternity. And we will stand by you like your pillars wherever required. And once again, thanks to both the coordinators. Bervi, thank you for a kind introduction. I don't need so much credit, but whatever you have said is out of the good gesture you have made. Thank you so much. So now with these opening remarks and with the permission of Ketan bhai, sir, can I start the presentation, sir? Thank you, sir. Sir,
Yes,
and also
Please, sir, please.
Yes, sir. And I honestly allow you both to excuse yourself, because I know there are so many prior commitments which you, Ketan bhai, and Sanjay bhai have. So please don't worry. You can excuse yourself.
Thank you.
Even yourself, Sharon and Bharvi, you can also excuse yourself. I will take care. But whenever the questions come up, or maybe at the end, we will try to take up the same.
Sure.
So that for the interest of and also for the benefit of members, we can collate the data and the information as the case.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll just now share the PPT, please. Is the PPT visible?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It is visible, sir.
Thank you. So at the outset, friends, let me tell you, when I had received the call from Mr. Sanjay Nikam that Shardul, you are doing this program, and why don't you take up this kind of provisions? Let me be very honest with you, friends. Why this particular topic is very exciting and important for all of us, especially those who practice direct taxes. It is because today, as of today, the method and the kind in which the environment is there today, this is probably the only thing which remains with the income tax officer. So this is probably the only topic or the work remaining with your jurisdictional assessing officer, or JAO as he is typically called. Friends, most of the other things, for example, assessment is there, or even assessments under 147 are there. All of them have been taken over by the faceless assessments. So only thing which is pending before the jurisdictional assessment officer, most of the time of his goes into giving the reports to his additional commissioner or the principal commissioner, as the case may be. Most of his time goes into rectifications. Most of his time goes into giving the data to the legal, the judicial, because a lot of assessees today are going to High Court. So, he has to make a report. He has to be in touch with the councils at the High Court. And obviously, there are so many grievance petitions even pending today. Although there is a lot of credit which we must give to the income tax department, that the refunds have been issued very fast and meticulously. But even today, as we speak, there are lots of grievances today that refunds have not been issued even for a long period of time. The order giving effect of CIT appeals, the order giving effect of ITAT orders, etc. These order giving effects by the jurisdictional assessing officer, although now the law provides for a time frame, have not been done. And that's why the grievance keep adding on more and more to the pendency of the work which is actually prevalent with the jurisdictional assessing officer. Friends, also we have to remember that although rectification and grievance is something that you have to pursue on a regular basis, there are other options which are parallelly also available with all of us as assessee before other forums apart from just the jurisdictional assessing officer. Obviously, we will take it up in the slides to come, but to say that we should extinguish all our remedy just before the jurisdictional assessing officer, it is not correct. I would say that when you are pursuing or when you are trying your best to get a result, my request is please use all your forces. Please use all your might. Your entire might means you can go to file an RTI. You can do a CP-gram. You can also do something like a grievance petition, and also you can definitely do a request before the concerned principal chief commissioner or principal commissioner, as the case may be. So my request is, at all fronts, you should definitely pursue your level best to ensure that your entire grievance is sorted out in the least possible time frame, because today time is the essence, friends. I have seen large corporates, even senior citizens, and even small time individuals have been wasting or sparing so much of their time for this kind of matters, that unfortunately years after years this entire thing gets piled up and absolutely nobody is interested. So obviously you will have to do that personally, and at the same time, as I told you, if you open all your other mechanism of grievances, then the same can be redressed in a more amicable and suitable manner. So what are we going to do, friends? We are going to see some of the important provisions of rectifications, which is prevailing under section 154, revision by the Commissioner of Income Tax, that is 263. Please remember, you also have the right by your own self to go for revision under 264. That is your own right. But please remember, there are time frames prescribed in both of them. Then you can also address your grievance through income tax. How are you going to do that? And also there is a concept of CP grams, which is entirely monitored by the Prime Minister's office. And last but not the least, you also have the option under RTI, where the right to information, you can just by paying 10 rupees to the nearest post office, you can also address any kind of grievance or any kind of information you want from the tax authorities. Also, comparing these provisions with the new Income Tax Act, believe me, friends, there is not much of a difference. As far as substance is concerned, most of the substance has remained the same. There is not much, only the sections, etc. have changed, and wordings have been changed a little bit. But as far as the concept, etc. is changed, even under the new Income Tax Act 2025, we are not having much difference with regards to these provisions. So what are we going to see today? As you all know, friends, this section is very, very relevant. That is section 154, which is 154.1 says that with a view to rectify any mistake apparent from record. So an income tax authority may, what he can do, amend any order passed by it under the provisions of the Act. So this kind of rectification can be done by any order. So just imagine a scenario that income tax order under faceless assessment is actually passed by the faceless authorities, but the rectification has to be done by your jurisdictional assessing officer. You can also amend any intimation or deemed intimation under subsection 1 of section 143. That is just your initial assessment. It can also amend any intimation under subsection 1 of section 200A, or amend any intimation under subsection 1 of section 206 CB. What is mistake apparent from record? Friends, this is very, very important, and this is where most of the litigation actually takes place. So under the provisions of section 154, there has to be some mistake which is apparent from record. Please remember, friends, this right which is available to you is in addition to the right of your right to go to the appeals. So definitely do not forget your opportunity to go to the CIT appeals in a case or an instance where the assessment order is passed, which is maybe a high pitch assessment or any other assessment which is not proper. So two things you have to do. First is definitely write or make an appeal to the commissioner appeal. Secondly, also make a stay application, because remember, within 30 days of passing the assessment order, you have to make a stay application to the relevant jurisdictional officer. And at the same time, you have to make a request for rectification under section 154 for rectification of a mistake apparent from record. Today, we are understanding what is mistake apparent from record. In other words, if you look at the record, it must show that there is any error which is apparent, and the error can be rectified by the jurisdictional assessing officer. Reference may be made to the documents even outside the record, and the law is is impermissible when applying the provisions of section 154. So this is very clear, and there are various case laws, including this one of CIT versus Keshri Metals of 237 ITR 165 of the Supreme Court. A mistake which is apparent from record must be an obvious and patent mistake. It must not involve a debatable point of law. This was again held in TS Balram ITO versus Walcott Brothers 82 ITR 50 Supreme Court. For instance, where a controversy can be resolved only by way of a complicated process of investigation, records cannot be taken to section 154. So this is again very clear, because it is very subjective in nature and you need a due process. Maybe the process may be investigation, or maybe it is something which requires arbitration, but the same cannot be resolved through 154. This again has been held in CIT versus Delhi Cement Stockist 81 ITR 515 of the Delhi High Court. If on a question of construction on a point of law, two views are possible, then the view which is in favor of the assessee has to be taken, and therefore no rectification can be done by invoking section 154. This was again held in CIT versus Indian Steel and Wire Products Limited 192 ITR 252 Calcutta. If there is a divergence of opinions among the various high courts on a particular controversy, rectification cannot be resorted to by merely applying or following the decisions of the jurisdictional high court. If it was a debate and was settled subsequently amicably by the Supreme Court, rectification is permissible. Again, there is a direct decision on it by CIT versus Oriental Paper Industries 208 ITR 158 of Calcutta, as well as VR Sony versus CIT 117 ITR 838. Veena Theatres versus Union of India 109 ITR 748, as well as Raja Harichand Raj Singh versus CIT 114 ITR 727. However, a contrary opinion has been expressed by one court, for example, Allahabad High Court in Omega Sports and Radio Works, that is 134 ITR 28. It was held in this case that when an issue has been concluded by the decision of High Court, it is no longer debatable in that state, and therefore a similar view is also expressed in other cases such as CIT versus Premier Polycars 107 CTR 310, and as well as CIT versus Ramlal Babulal 148 CTR 643. Records does not mean only record, that is the order of the assessment order, but it comprises of all the proceedings on which assessment order is based. This was held in Maharana Mills Limited versus ITO 36 ITR 350. Tribunal's finding is a part of record of the appeal so as to empower the commissioner to rectify his earlier order. In case of Mahindra Mills Limited versus PB Desai, it was also held the above, that is 99 ITR 135 Supreme Court. What do you mean by record? This is again deliberated. Record of assessment of other assessment years can also be looked into. So friends, all this is very important or crucial part for rectification. While doing rectification, you have to understand the meaning of record. And the record of assessment of other assessment years can also be looked into. This was held in Indra Singh and Sons versus Union of India 64 ITR 501, Upasna Hospitals and Nursing Home 120, Taxman 545. Assessment record of a firm and partners are also part of the same record. It was held in Devendra Prakash versus ITO 47 ITR 501. But any mistake apparent from record of a firm is not the mistake apparent from record of the partners. This is very important, friends, because a lot of times we use the same interchangeably, but remember this cannot be used interchangeably because partnerships is very different from the partners, correct? So this is something we have to remember, and this was held in Swaran Yash versus CIT 138 ITR 734. Whether issue of a notice is a must. The action of section 154 may be taken in favor of the taxpayer without any notice to him. But if the action has the effect of enhancing any assessment or reducing a refund, the assessing officer must send him a notice to the assessee and give him a reasonable opportunity of being heard. Friends, please remember, An opportunity of being heard is the principle of natural justice, and this can be raised by the assessee at any point of time, at any forum. So, in case there is anything prejudicial to the person or assessee, an opportunity of heard is a must. Thereby, notice is also very important. This was held in M. Chokalingam versus Mayappan versus CIT 48 ITR 34 Supreme Court. The notice to the assessee may be an express notice or a constructive notice. It is not always necessary to serve the notice, so the assessee the notice if he is aware of the rectification proceedings. This was again held in Mulchan versus CIT 107 ITR 932. What about writ petitions? Please remember, friends, nowadays a lot of people think of writ petitions, but this is to be used very, very carefully. Remedies available under the Income Tax Act against the issuance of a notice of 154 are effective remedies, and a writ petition to squash the notice under 154 without exhausting such remedies is not maintainable. Meaning thereby, please follow the legal remedies which are available under income tax, maybe your remedy under 154 or remedy under 264 or even any other remedies which are available to you, and only then one should consider a writ petition. Writ petition sometimes can be considered only if there is a very, very, you are aggrieved and there is something which is out of the ordinary. In most of the cases, to get a favorable disposal of your writ petition is very, very doubtful, especially in the current set of circumstances before Mumbai High Court. To get a writ petition even admitted or to get something in your favor is very, very difficult. This is something which was also held in VK Construction Works versus CIT 215 ITR 26, Punjab and Haryana. One should also keep in view the following points. What are they? Rectification under section 154 is not obligatory on the part of assessing officer if clear data is not available. This was held in Anchor Pressings Limited versus CIT 161 ITR 159 of Supreme Court. Also, rectification is not confined to clerical or arithmetical error only. So, the entire gamut of what can be rectified is very vast. It is not only confined to clerical or arithmetical error. This was held in NVN Nagappa Chettiar versus ITO 34 ITR 583. Whatever cannot be done under section 143 1A, it cannot also be done under 154. So you have a summary assessment which is sometimes done, and sometimes you can otherwise undo it, but the same also cannot be undone with the help of 154 read with section 143 1A. This was also held in CIT versus Siemens 90 ITD 117. So something which cannot be done under 143 1A can also not be done under section 154. Further, rectifications to treat certain amount shown by the assessee as a trade discount as commission for the purpose of TDS is not justified. For just because you have something which is not proper, the same cannot be thereafter be rectified. So this is also something you have to keep in mind. Further, if the interest under section 234 A, B, C is chargeable, failure to charge it will be a mistake which is apparent from record. So this is very clear, friends. And if that is done, definitely one can do a rectification, and that is possible under, it is also said. So this was held in Placer India versus CIT 84 TTJ Delhi, as well as V. Jayakumar, that is 10 Taxman 141. However, interest under section 234A cannot be charged by invoking section 154 after completing reassessments where the original regular assessments under section 143(3) or 144 has already been made, but no such interest was charged at that point of time. So anything which is prejudicial to the assessee cannot be done, has to be done only after giving adequate notice to the assessee. Where the assessing officer, while framing the assessment under section 143(3), has considered the explanation of the assessee and after applying his mind, allowed his claim for higher depreciation, successing assessing officer cannot invoke 154 to reduce the depreciation. Obviously, this is something similar, that anything which is prejudicial to the assessee cannot be done at any point of time unless sufficient reasons are there. Whenever loss Whenever loss or nil income returned by the assessee is converted into positive income by way of rectification, the assessee assumes right to make the claims in the course of rectification proceedings regarding deductions available to it only against positive income. This was again a very well held decision in case of Associate Hotels versus CIT 2 SOT 93. The Kerala High Court, in the case of R. Lakshmi, ST Reddy R and Sons, held that every change in the opening written down value shall be a cause of action under section 154 at the instance of the assessing officer to give consequential effect in the allowance of depreciation from year to year, no matter even if the assessee has not made such claim in the return furnished. So this is a right which is available to the assessee at any point of time, and definitely he can take the benefit of doing so. The assessing officer cannot, in exercise of his powers under 154, amend an intimation issued under section 143(1) with regards to a matter which he cannot do or process under 143(1). So what he cannot do directly, the assessing officer cannot also do it indirectly. However, the assessing officer is well competent to rectify any mistake in the intimation under section 143(1) which has been brought to his notice by the assessee. Where any order is passed by the assessing officer is not in conformity with law declared by the Supreme Court, it has to be treated as suffering from a mistake apparent from record. This is very clear in case of Dinosaur Steels versus CIT 288 ITR 476. So something which is not proper and not in conformity with the law, then obviously the assessing officer cannot rectify this mistake. If an error creeps in an order solely due to uploading of the return or due to software, it is an error apparent from record and the same can be rectified. This is given in Zentech Offshore Engineering versus CIT 82 Taxman 71. What about any order passed by the assessing officer and it is also subject to appeal? As I told you in the beginning, friends, please do not extinguish your remedy of the CIT appeal. So you obviously do both of them parallelly. If the above mentioned order, that is the assessment order, is the subject matter of appeal before CIT appeals or even revision, then it cannot be amended by the assessing officer under 154. However, assessing officer can amend the order in respect of any matter other than the matter which has been considered and decided in the appeal or revision. Even if the appeal has been preferred against an order, a mistake in that part of the order which was not subject matter of appeal and which was left untouched by the appellate authority can definitely be rectified under section 154. What does the meaning of mistake mean? A mistake which can be rectified under section 154 is the one which is apparent, patent, and is so obvious and whose discovery is not dependent on any other argument or any elaboration. Which are the kind of mistakes which can be rectified by the jurisdictional assessing officer? Some of the following are illustrative examples of mistakes which can be rectified by the jurisdictional assessing officer. First, any error of law or any error of fact. This is very apparent from the assessment order which he has passed under section 143(3). Any clerical mistake or arithmetical mistake made. Any error in determining the written down value of the asset. Any overlooking the obligatory provisions of the legislation. Any mistakes which arise as a result of subsequent retrospective amendments of law. All these are some of the examples of mistakes which can be rectified. Where the sums referred to in section 43B had in fact been paid after the end of the previous year, but on or before the due date of submission the return of income, but the evidence thereof had been omitted to be furnished along with the return, the assessing officer can definitely entertain the petition under 154 for rectification of the intimation. As we saw the mistakes which can be rectified, it is essential for all of us to understand which are the mistakes which cannot be rectified. Please keep that in mind. Where there is a controversy and which can be resolved only by a complicated process of investigation, records, cannot be taken into account and rectification cannot be done under 154. If on a question of construction on a point of law, two views are possible, no rectification can be done by invoking section 154. A question on which there is a difference of opinion, even among two high court judges, the same cannot be rectified by invoking the provision of 154. Where a rectification of order is made on the basis of certain high court or supreme court decisions, but it is a debatable whether the said decision is applicable to the assessee's case, because the facts are very peculiar and the facts are very different, then the assessing officer may not do the rectification as is duly justified. Where any matter has been considered and decided in any proceedings by way of appeal or revision relating to an order referred to in subsection 1, the authority passing such order may, notwithstanding anything contained in any law for the time being imposed, amend the order under that subsection in relation to any matter other than the matter which has been so considered and decided by the superior authority, that may be CIT appeal. Subject to the other provisions of the section, the assessing officer may make an amendment under subsection 1 of 154 on its own motion and shall make such amendments for rectification of any mistakes which has been brought to his notice by the assessee or by the deductor or by the collector, and where the authority considered is either the joint commissioner appeal or the commissioner appeal, by the assessing officer also. An income tax authority can rectify any mistake which is apparent from record by himself. An authority can also rectify any mistake from record if he is being brought to his notice by the assessee or the deductor or collector. If there is a mistake apparent from record in an order passed by the commissioner appeal or joint commissioner appeal or commissioner appeal, they can also rectify the mistakes if it has been brought to the notice by the assessee, deductor, collector, or the assessing officer. Successor commissioner cannot refuse to entertain rectification applications in respect of the orders passed by his predecessors on the ground that he, being a succeeding commissioner, cannot sit over the judgment of his predecessor and review his order under the guise of making rectification under section 154. This is very clear now, friends. So this is applied to whom? The order, this is applicable to all orders passed under the Income Tax Act, that is under 143(3). It can be invoked by the assessing officer himself, or it can also be invoked by the CIT or even by the assessee. Please remember, there is a time limit under which there is a possibility of rectification. It is not that indefinitely this right is available to you. In order to rectify a mistake, there is a time limit given below. No amendment of section 154 rectification can be done by the jurisdictional assessing officer after the expiry of 4 years from the end of the financial year in which the order sought to be amended was passed. The point at which the period of limitation commences is 4 years from the date of the order sought to be amended and not the date of the original order. Where, while allowing the appeal, the entire order of assessment dated February 20, 1980 was set aside and certain directions were given to the AO to do reassessment, a fresh assessment came into force on 2nd February 83. The period of limitation for rectification of the order has to be counted from the last assessment order, that is the 2nd February 83, and not from the date of the assessment order which was set aside. This is very clear and also laid down in Southern Industrial Corporation Limited versus CIT 258 ITR 481. The word order in the expression form and date of the order sought to be amended in section 154(7) include any amended or rectified order, and therefore where original assessment has been subsequently been rectified, the second application for rectification has to be made within 4 years from the date of the first rectification order, which is held to be valid. Where an application for amendment under 154 is made by the assessee to the income tax authority, the authority shall pass the order within 6 months from the end of the month in which the application is received by it, either making the amendment or refusing allowing the claim. The CBDT has directed that the time limit of 6 months should be strictly followed by the AO while disposing the application under section 154. This was via instruction number 1 of 2016 dated 15th February 2016. Rectification order should be in writing. CBDT has directed all the rectification application must be disposed of after passing the order in writing to be duly served upon to the taxpayer concerned and not merely by making necessary rectification on the system. When order can be passed even after the time limit, the authorities making the rectifications have been authorized by CBDT to dispose of an application even after the expiry of 6 months if a valid application has been filed by the assessee within the statutory time limit, has not been disposed of by the concerned authority within the aforesaid time limit. Mistakes which are left untouched. Where mistakes in the original assessment is left untouched in subsequent reassessment, period of limitation should be counted from the date of original assessment and not from the date of reassessment. What about revision? Now we come to a concept of revision, but in revision also there is a concept of partial revision, where the assessing officer's order was only partially revised under section 264. The assessee has sought rectification of an item which is not the subject matter of revision. The period of limitation for rectification would be counted from the date of the assessing officer's original order and not from the date of revision. Therefore, so long as the original order remains ineffective and does not merge with the appellate order, the limitation run from the date of the original order and cannot be done from the date when the assessing officer has given effect to the order of the appellate authority. What about issue of demand notice? Limitation period is applicable only to making of the order and not to the issue of the demand notice. What about condonation of delay? Question is whether there was sufficient cause for condonation. Only in cases where there is a sufficient cause for the condonation, then it is permissible. Whether there is sufficient cause for condonation in rectification application or not is a matter of discretion of the board, and no oral hearing in such case is required. Settlement Commission cannot reopen its concluded proceeding by invoking section 154 so as to levy interest under section 234B. What about technical formalities? The following points should be noted. The order of rectification should be in writing. Where the rectification has the effect of enhancing the liability or reducing the refund, then obviously the authority should follow very important steps that, as we discussed earlier, that he has to give the opportunity to the assessee of being heard. After passing the rectification, AO shall serve upon the assessee the notice of demand, and where the rectification has the effect of reducing the assessment, AO shall make the refund as it may be and give the same to the assessee or the deductor or the collector as the case may be. Is it possible to take actions under section 143(2) and 154 simultaneously? Let us understand that. A notice under section 143(2) is normally issued to ensure that the assessee has not understated the income or has not computed excessive loss or underpaid the tax. It is only on the consideration of the matter and on being satisfied that it is necessary or expedient to do so, the AO issues the notice under section 143(2). Once the notice is issued, the AO has to proceed to make an order, a scrutiny order under 143(3) and make an assessment of total income or loss of the assessee. It is no doubt correct that an error apparent from record thereafter can also be corrected under section 154. If parallel proceedings are permitted, it would only result in waste of time. It would serve no purpose. Hence, the assessing officer cannot invoke his jurisdiction under section 154 after he has issued notice under 143(2). And this is now become very clear in various judgments of various courts. Section 147 or 154, which action is appropriate? If in the cases of requirement, if in the case requirements of both section 147 and 154 are satisfied, the assessing officer can have recourse to either of them. During the pendency of proceedings under section 154, it is not permissible for the revenue to initiate reassessment proceedings under section 147. Whether retrospective amendment of law or subsequent ruling of Supreme Court amounts to mistake apparent from record. The law declared by the Supreme Court is binding on every court and every authority. A decision which is contrary to law can only be rectified under section 154. If the assessment order is plainly and obviously inconsistent with the specific and clear provisions amended, which are amended retrospectively, indisputably there is a mistake apparent from record and the same can be rectified. If the Supreme Court has subsequently reversed or modified the existing interpretation of law in another case, it does not render the earlier judgment open to review, nor does it constitute any mistake which is apparent from record on the face of the in face of record envisaged under section 154. The explanation added to Rule 1 of Order 47 of the Code of Civil Procedure in order to define a mistake or error apparent from record is equally applicable to section 154. Likewise, a judgment of the jurisdictional High Court cannot give rise to a mistake apparent from record in case of order which is passed by the tribunal earlier. Under the provisions of section 154, there has to be a mistake apparent from record. In other words, a look of the record must show that there is an error and the error can be rectified. Recourse can be made, reference can be made to documents outside the record, and the law is impermissible when applying the provisions of section 154. A mistake apparent from record must be obvious and patent mistake, we already discussed this. If on a question of construction of a point of law, two views are possible, then the view which is in favor of the assessee has to be taken. Time limit is also, we discussed, is 4 years. How do you do it? So what is the procedure? Obviously, first and foremost, application has to be made by the assessee or can be initiated by the IT department. A written request mentioning the mistake or the relief sought, an order passed after giving reasonable opportunity has to be passed by the assessing officer. These are some of the important judicial pronouncements, that is of first of Kelvinator India Limited, that Supreme Court has clarified what is the scope of apparent mistake. Reliance Petro Products also, rectification cannot be used to reopen the earlier assessment orders. So you have to remember, friends, section 154 provides a quick mechanism to correct any apparent errors which are made by the assessing officer. It is not a tool for reassessment for changing the facts by the assessing officer, so he cannot take undue advantage of the same. And it also helps in ensuring correctness and fairness in the tax orders. One 154 allows the department to correct any mistake which is apparent from record, but these mistakes don't have to be just simple. Errors in applying the law or overlooking the key facts can sometimes be corrected under this section, making it as a powerful tool to fix genuine errors without going through any lengthy appeals before the CIT appeals. What is 263? This is again very important. This is a new concept altogether of revision. This is the power which is given to the jurisdictional or your principal CIT. So 263, it empowers the principal Commissioner of Income Tax or your CIT to reverse any order which is passed by his junior or his lower authority, that is the assessing officer, only on two accounts. One, the entire order it is passed is erroneous, and secondly, the order passed by the jurisdiction assessing officer is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. The principal chief commissioner or the chief commissioner or the principal commissioner may call for and examine the records of any proceedings under section 263. And if he considers that any order of the revenue as it may be passed, he may, after giving the assessee an opportunity of being heard, as the case may be, if it's erroneous, if it is erroneous, then he has the powers to invoke 263. As after making or causing such inquiry as he deems necessary, he may pass such orders under section 263 as the circumstances of the case are required. And what is the kind of order he will pass under 263? He will pass an order enhancing or modifying the assessment or cancelling the assessment and direct a fresh assessment, or he can order modifying the order under that is the order which is passed under section 92 CA, or he can order cancelling the order. He can order to cancel the order under section 92 CA or direct a fresh order under the said section. An order passed on or before or after 1st day of June 1988 by the jurisdiction assessing officer shall include an order passed by the assistant commissioner or the deputy commissioner or the ITO under the directions of the additional or joint commissioner under section 144A, or an order made by the joint commissioner in exercise of the powers in performance of his functions as a AO for transfer pricing, as the case may be, or assigned to him under the orders or directions, or any other order which is passed by the board or the principal commissioner, or an order by the transfer pricing officer. What do you mean by record? Record shall include and shall be deemed always to have included all records relating to any proceedings under the Income Tax Act and which is available at the time of examination by the principal chief commissioner or the chief commissioner or the principal commissioner or commissioner of income tax. Where any order referred to in this subsection and is passed by the jurisdictional assessing officer or the transfer pricing officer has been subject matter of appeal, the powers of the principal commissioner or commissioner shall extend to such matters as has not been considered and decided by the commissioner of appeal. For the purpose of this section, it is declared that an order passed by the assessing officer or the TPO shall deem to be erroneous insofar as if it is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue, if in the opinion of the principal commissioner, the order is passed without making any inquiries. So please remember section 263 is only for those cases where the principal commissioner feels that an order passed by the jurisdictional officer is against the interest of the revenue, or the order is passed without inquiry or verification which he should have made, or the order is passed allowing any relief without making any inquiry into the claim, and the order has not been made in accordance with an order direction as issued by the board under 119. The order which has been passed in accordance with any decision which is prejudicial to the assessee rendered by the jurisdictional High Court or Supreme Court. For the purpose of this section, TPO shall have the same meaning as assigned to it in 92 CA. No order can be made under this section, that is 263(1), after the expiry of 2 years. So please remember there is a time period given, that is 2 years from the end of the financial year in which order sought to be revised is passed. An order in revision under this section can be passed at any time in case of an order has been passed in consequence of or in order to give effect to the directions of the order passed by the ATAT. In computing the period of limitation for the purpose of this subsection 2 of 263, the time taken in giving the opportunity to the assessee of being reheard under provision to section 129 and any period during which proceedings under this section is stayed is excluded. What is the meaning of record? The commissioner may call for and examine the record of any proceedings under this act. The term record means a record as it stands at the time of examination by the commissioner. In other words, materials which were not in existence at the time of the assessment was made and has come into existence afterwards can be taken into consideration by the commissioner for the purpose of invoking the section 263. Record of other persons. The power of commissioner under section 263 is wide enough to make inquiry in the case of assessee on the basis of any other person's record as well. Even a statement in a search operation carried out in relation to another person can be considered as forming part of record which can be examined by the commissioner for invoking his powers under this section of 263. The Finance Act 2015 has inserted explanation 2 in section 263. This explanation provides that an order passed by the AO shall be deemed to be erroneous insofar as if it is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. If the commissioner feels that the order is passed without making inquiries, this is something which we already discussed. If due to an erroneous order which is passed by the assessing officer, the revenue is losing tax lawfully payable by a person, it will certainly be prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. Where there are two views possible, every loss of revenue as a consequence of an order of the AO cannot be treated as prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. For example, where an AO adopts one of the courses permissible in law and it has resulted in loss of revenue, where two views are possible and AO has taken one view where the commissioner does not agree, the commissioner cannot consider this order passed as erroneous and prejudicial to the interest of the revenue unless the view taken by the AO is unsustainable. This has been held in various cases. In section 263 proceedings, there is no scope for substituting one view for the other. Mere audit objection and merely because a different view can be taken, it is not enough to say that the order of the AO is erroneous and is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. If an order of the AO is in accordance with the view taken by the tribunal in assessee's case for another year, it cannot be said it was erroneous and prejudicial to the interest, notwithstanding that a reference was made and it's pending before the High Court. What is the objective of the 263? Is to ensure that the revenue is not lost due to the erroneous orders of the AO, and also it provides a supervisory powers to the commissioner and the principal commissioner and to promote fairness, lawfulness and proper tax assessments. So as we already discussed, friends, the main conditions are that there has to be an erroneous order of the assessing officer, there has to be an incorrect application of law, there has to be a failure to make necessary inquiries. It is the order passed by the assessing officer is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. It results in the loss of tax revenue and wrong relief or wrongful deduction is given. The maximum time frame is 2 years from the end of the financial year in which the assessment order is passed, and no 263 can be invoked after the time limit. We discussed the procedure, how it is done. First, a show cause notice is given, then a personal hearing is done, opportunity of being heard, and also thereafter a speaking order has to be passed, whether setting aside or modifying the assessment. What are the examples of erroneous and prejudicial orders? Obviously, if the assessing officer has ignored any taxable income, he has not examined a significant claim or a wrongful deduction has been claimed by the assessee, or the assessee has wrongfully taken and the assessing officer has wrongfully allowed deductions without any verification. These are some of the important judgments of Malabar Industries. Both conditions must be satisfied, that is erroneous and as well as prejudicial. And second order is second case is of Gabriel, India. where the assessing officer fails to make inquiries, this is a valid ground for revision. These two twin conditions, not every erroneous order is revisable unless it is also prejudicial. Orders that cannot be revised if the order has already been appealed against and also decided thereafter by CIT appeal or ITAT. Matters that are already considered in appeal cannot be revised under 263. What is the difference between section 263 and 147? So both these powers are available with the assessing officer. However, please remember the nature by itself of 263 is revision and 147 is actually reassessment. 263 can be only initiated by the commissioner or principal commissioner, whereas 147 can be initiated by the assessing officer. The reason of initiation under 263 is, as we discussed earlier, there has to be an error in the order, or there has to be an order which is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue. In 147, obviously, there has to be some income which has escaped any assessment. The time limit, as we saw, differs, but in 263 is 2 years, and in 147, now the time frame is 5 years. In certain cases, goes to 10 years. But normal cases, it is 3 years, fine 5 years, 3 years and 5 years. Summary assessment. What is the summary of 263? That 263 is there to protect the revenue from erroneous assessments. Dual condition must be met. You must follow the principle of natural justice. That is, the hearing has to be given. And it is a revisionary power and not a reassessment. So reassessment is under section 147 and only revision is possible under 263. Please remember, anything which is for the benefit of the assessee, the same is passed under 264, and anything in favor of the revenue, the reassessment revisionary power is under 263. 263 gives the commissioner the power to revise an assessment order only if it is erroneous and prejudicial to the interest of revenue. Supreme Court has ruled that both conditions must exist together, and this is very important. Dual condition acts like as a safeguard for misuse of power and ensuring only serious or revenue impacting errors are revised. Next point is about grievance. As we saw, friends, there are lots of grievances which are happening, and there is a methodology in which grievance can be addressed. Obviously, please, my request to all of you friends is, when you have a particular requirement, write to the assessing officer, send him a reminder, and after the reminder also is not fulfilled, thereafter address the letter to the additional commissioner, because only additional commissioner has the power to resolve the grievance. So specifically in the subject matter, it has to be written as a grievance petition, and this has to be addressed to the additional commissioner of your concerned JAO or jurisdictional assessing officer. And also please mark a copy of this grievance petition to the jurisdictional commissioner or the principal commissioner, as the case may be. Complaints filed by the taxpayer concerning issues such as refund delays, TDS mismatches, PAN errors, and demand notices, etc., can be something which can be taken up as a grievance. It ensures transparency and strengthens taxpayers' trust. My also request is, whenever you are filing this kind of application, please ensure that the same is filed before the Ask Kendra. You are aware, in now every income tax office, there is an Ask Kendra. You can also file this rectification, 154, as well as your this grievance online. So both of these options are available to you. How do you address the grievance? So this is the three options. Another options, as I mentioned, is RTI, which is also something which you can consider. First is e-Nivaran. This is a central online grievance module which is available on the income tax e-filing portal. Second is CP Gram. This is also available to you, which is a centralized public grievance redressal and monitoring system for cross-departmental grievances, and it's very powerful because CP Gram goes directly to the Prime Minister's office, right? And it is also regularly monitored. Then something, as I already discussed with you, is ask. That is the Aikar Seva Kendra in Service Service Center handling physical grievance. So please give your physical grievance application. And as I mentioned, to be addressed to the additional commissioner and a CC done to the commissioner. And specifically in the subject matter, write grievance petition. What about e-filing of grievance? Yes, definitely you can do that. You can log into your e-filing portal, income tax, and also go to e-Nivaran. In case of unregistered users, you don't have a PAN 10, also you can do through contact us and through the grievance petition. So department-wise categories in e-Nivaran, first is e-filing issues. What are the various issues such as login, password, ITR filing, or e-verification, etc. You can also do it through this site. In case of physical application for your grievance redressals, that is any kind of appeals, that is order giving effect or any kind of appeal, you have to file to the assessing officer. In case of PAN discrepancy, any demand, rectification, refunds which are pending, all of them has to be a physical grievance can be filed before officer as your assessing officer, and the second reminder can be going as to your additional commissioner, and as a subject you can have grievance petition. You can also file a CPC ITR. You can do that when the CPC has processed your refund or rectification, which is absolutely not proper. You can address the same through e-Nivaran, and also CPC TDS related issues, TDS statement, TCS statements, or Form 26AS, TRAN related issues or refund also can be addressed online through e-Nivaran. How to file a grievance? You have to log in through the e-filing portal. You have to go to the dashboard of grievances, and then you have to submit your grievance. You have to select the department, the category, the subcategory. Thereafter, you file in the details, the assessment year, the description, and then you can also upload the documents. It is optional, but you can file the documents where the assessing officer has not given proper justice. Thereafter, you submit, you note down the grievance acknowledgement number, because thereafter, if you want to, give a remedial address, then obviously you can have every time you can quote the earlier application you have made, and therefore this acknowledgement number is very important. In case of unregistered person, obviously you have to visit the e-filing portal. You can choose either you have a PAN or you don't have a PAN or TAN. Then you enter the details and you can validate yourself through ATP. And you can also fill the grievance similar to the register flow, or you can file it physically through your jurisdictional assessing officer or your jurisdictional additional commissioner. How do you track the grievance? You have to log in. Your grievance acknowledgement number and the mobile OTP can help you track the grievance, and also the post login you have to go through the dashboard grievance, and you can view the status, and also various filters are available. Typical resolution timeline is 8 weeks, and often we have seen the grievance can be resumed, redressed within 1 month. Top priorities are given to, in case, something comes from the PMO office or from the FM, it is resolved within 21 days. And thereafter, you can also escalate the same through a green sheet, that is at the assessing officer level, it is 3 weeks. Then there is a pink sheet or the range head within 2 weeks, that is a commissioner. And in case it is not resolved, then definitely you can escalate it to the chief commissioner. And after that also, then there is a principal chief commissioner also, if there is not resolved within 8 weeks. Also, there are any various helplines and emails which are also available to support the grievance filing. There was a concept of ombudsman, but unfortunately today, friends, the ombudsman has been done away with. Only way you can do it is through the mechanism which we discussed earlier. But the ask kendras are very good, and they also give a computerized token by way of which you can also follow it up in later course. In 2024, there was an overall of and there is enhanced grievance experience via unified system, and there is a faster redressal of all the grievances by bringing in more transparency and escalation mechanism. The finance minister has directed to fast track the disputes and also especially the lower value appeals. You are aware that appeals before which are below 10 lakh rupees, there is a special joint commissioner appeals, and it has been mandated to dispose of the appeals fast, and also all those appeals where there is order giving effect also of the smaller appeals, they have been given to redress the same. This is mainly to boost efficiency and the trust between the taxpayer and the officers. So multiple channels exist. Online, there is something called e-Nivaran. Centralized, as we discussed, there is something called a CP-gram. And offline, there is a jurisdictional assessing officer and grievance petition. There is also a mechanism which you can do is the RTI, which is an offline mechanism, but very, very effective. There is a clear filing procedures. You can track the status of your filing, and you can also escalate your mechanism. The continuous focus is there of the government of India to improve the response time and also improve the taxpayers' services. A well-handled grievance is not just a complaint, but there is an opportunity to build trust between the taxpayer and taxpayer. So this is something which is available, which is how the process flows. Just to explain to all of you, but this is something which we have already discussed. These slides are available and which will be shared by the WRC later on. As we gave a passing reference to CP-gram, let us little bit understand it in more detail. CP-gram is an online platform which is developed by the government of India. It is developed for all of us. This is for public grievance that allows all of us to log in and track the grievance related to any service delivery by the central and state government departments. It enables filing the complaints 24/7 and provides features like tracing the grievance status using a unique registration ID, offering feedback, and initiating appeals if you are dissatisfied with the resolution. This was launched in 2007 by the Department of Administrative Reforms and the Public Grievance, that is DARPG, and developed by NIC. It functions over the NIC NIT, that is India's satellite-based wide area network. Citizens can file grievances and receive a unique registration ID to track the resolution status. You can have access of the CP-gram through the portal using mobile apps, Umang, and also the My Grievance app. What are the timelines? The standard resolution time is 21 days with interim responses if needed. Role-based access with each ministry department having nodal officers and also grievance redressal officers. Citizens can rate the resolution. If you mark it poor, an appeal can be filed to the appellate authority. Feedback is collected via SMS and email and can be analyzed to enhance the process efficiency. Over the period of 2 years of 22-24, over 70 lakh grievances have been resolved. And also between the last 4 years, around 1.12 crore grievances have been redressed through 92 central ministries, 32 state and union territories, supported by 73,000 subordinate users and 96,000 plus organizations. It is a 10-step reform initiative which was introduced by 2022, including translation and GRAI, technology enhancements, training and outreach. The next generation CP-gram was launched on 1st July 2025 using advanced features like WhatsApp grievances, voice to text, instant alerts and auto escalation. Globally recognized by the Commonwealth Secretariat as a model governance tool. A citizen from Bangalore has used CP-gram to report a dusty of unpaved road. Within a month, a corrective work began with a photographic confirmation. CP-gram, as we discussed, friends, is a robust, citizen-friendly platform and enhances the transparency and accountability. It ensures timely grievance redressal, effective monitoring, and continuous improvements through the technology. it advances to the next gen. It is poised to further democratize the public grievance redressal handling mechanism. CPGram connects directly to the highest level of government, including the ministries, department, and even PMO's office, ensuring the grievance don't get stuck at the lower level but reach the decision makers quickly. CPGram is one of the few government platforms in India that allows you to track the real-time status of a grievance, just like tracking a parcel. As we discussed earlier, RTI, friends, is also one of the mechanisms which is available to you for grievance redressal and grievance. You want to resolve a grievance. So RTI application you can apply online or through the national RTI portal or offline by sending a request to the concerned public information officer. The application should clearly state that it is an RTI request and specify the exact information you are seeking. For example, the information why my refund is not being processed, why the refund is not being granted to me, and so on and so forth. But specific information can be sought. You will need to pay a nominal fee of rupees 10 or will be exempt if you are below the poverty line. And you will have to provide your contact details for the further future communication. An RTI application form is a letter through which an Indian citizen can request the information from the offices and departments of the state and central government. This can be used for any information which is supposed to be there in public knowledge. The information and documents which you are seeking must be clear and specific to avoid any delay or confusion. According to the law, public authorities are required to disclose various aspects of their structure and functioning. The RTI includes the right to inspect the work, documents, records, take notes, extract or certified copies of your documents or records, take certified samples of material, obtain information in the form of printouts, tapes, videos, or any other documents through electronic mode. Is it mandatory to have an RTI application form? Answer is yes. The person seeking the information shall submit a written application to the concerned authority along with the applicable fees of rupees 10. What does the public authority mean? The public authority means bodies of self-government established under the constitution or any law or government notification. It includes any entities, for example, NGOs, owned or controlled or substantially financed by the government. Who can file RTI? Only an Indian citizen can file RTI application form. This includes individual, a representative of an organization, or any entity recognized as a citizen under the Indian law. Who is not allowed to file the RTI? Some information is restricted information and cannot be disclosed. Restricted information includes information disclosure of which would adversely affect the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security, strategy, scientific or economic interests of the states, relations with foreign countries, or lead to incitement of an offense. The information that has been expressly forbidden to be published by any court of law or tribunal or disclosure of which may constitute a contempt of court also cannot be disclosed through an RTI. The information including commercial confidence, trade secrets, or intellectual property, the disclosure of which would harm the competitive position of third party unless the competent authority is satisfied that larger public interest warrants the disclosure of such information. In such cases also, this data will not be disclosed through RTI. The information which would impede or affect the process of investigation, apprehension or prosecution of offenders again will not be disclosed. Personal information which has no relationship to public activity or interest on which it would cause and harm unwarranted invasion or privacy of the individual also, such data will not be disclosed through RTI. What is the period to respond to the form of RTI? The information sought should be provided within 30 days from the date of the application. The period can be excluded in exceptional circumstances. If the information is voluminous or the inspection is required, then the applicant through this form can apply for a time slot for inspection of the public documents. Once the application form is ready, after filing this letter, applicant shall sign the document. Applicant can submit it to the concerned department either online or offline. The name and address of the concerned authority can be found on the website. The RTI application fees ranges from 10 to 100, varying upon the states and the territories. Payment method includes various modes. A copy of the application can be kept handy by the applicant. If RTI application is submitted directly at the office, it is better to take acknowledgement from the concerned officer. What must be included in the form? The document must include what is the exact detail which you are required, what you need from the department, the information sought, and any other details such as your ID card showing your Indian citizenship, details of the payment, details of your applicant, etc. Which laws are applicable to the application form? The right to information is regulated under the RTI Act 2005. You can modify the template, you can fill out the form, the document is created before your eyes, and at the end you must receive it in Word or PDF formats, and you can definitely modify it and reuse it. There is a web portal which can be used, and also you can file it online. This is the procedure. So friends, this is all which I had to present as far as Right to Information Act, and I come to the close. I come to the end of my presentation. If there are any further questions, I'll be happy to take up the same. Else, once again, thanks to the organizers, thanks to especially to the chairman, thanks to the chairman, and thanks to the chairman of the Direct Tax Committee, and all the organizers of WIC for giving me this opportunity to come before you and give and share my knowledge. I'll be happy to take up any more questions. Else, thank you once again. Thank you for the patient listening. Thank you.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Hello.
please tell me. Yes, yes.
Yeah, there are two questions in the chat section.
Yes.
One is from Sudhakar Pranjpe. CPC in intimation under section 143(1) wrongly computed income and decided demand. Assessee disagreed said demand on income tax portal giving reasons of wrong demand. And in the tab response to outstanding demand. But AO/CPC not processed it in last 4 years. Now time limit of 4 years for 154 has lapsed. How he will proceed further for getting nil demand?
So first and foremost, the assessee, as I told you in the beginning, should have also gone into appeal. I'm surprised, even in any kind of assessment order, if the income is wrongfully decided, wrongfully assessed, and there's a demand, definitely you should have gone into appeal. I do not know the proper facts. We need to understand from Mr. Sudhakarji whether CIT, whether you have filed an appeal before the CIT appeal. If not, my request is to file even today with the application for request to condonation of delay, that appeal before CIT appeal can be filed even today. Number two, you have to make after 4 years. Then again, if this rectification period time has elapsed, you can again make a request for condonation of delay. And last, you can file an application under 119 to the CBDT. But definitely it can be processed. I'm surprised. Why is it not filed grievance petition that 154 is yet not disposed? Yes, next question.
Next question is, please guide. Appeal with CIT was dismissed in first submission only without giving an opportunity of being heard. Can we file rectification under 154 or revision 263?
The answer is no. You will have to go to ITAT. No? You will have to go to ITAT. Next.
Next is again from Mr. Sudhakar ji. For the purpose of section 154, record available with assessee or with income tax department to be considered for rectifying mistake apparent from the record.
Yes, answer is yes. Yes.
Yeah. I guess all the questions have been answered. If audience, if any questions are there, please ask in the chat section. I think all the questions have been answered too. Yeah, I guess we can herewith proceed to. Yeah, hello. Good evening, everyone. I, CA Sharon Sangvi, on behalf of WRC of ICI, would like to thank CA Shardul sir for taking all his efforts in delivering today's topic on provisions for rectification under 154 to 63 grievances and CP grams. Thank you for giving time from your busy schedule and sharing your knowledge and taking us through some very deep insights, and with having some practical examples too. So I'm sure this session would definitely help our members in their professional work. Thank you, and my kudos to all the participants for participating in today's session and making this session very fruitful. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon, for your kind words. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We hope to see you in our future endeavors also.
Always.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ketan bhai. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ketan sir. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Virak bhai, Shardul bhai.
Thank you, sir.